Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give a very quick overview about the different type of files and how to navigate the file system on a Linux machine, Unix machine, which is usually what you see when you use a high-performance computer cluster. So I'm currently logged into a high-performance computer cluster, and I want to show you around a little bit of what you can find. So when you log into a HPC cluster, you usually end up in your home directory, and this is kind of where I'm at the moment. So if we use the pwd command, which I'm typing here now, which means is your parent working directory, or basically it's the current working directory, and it basically tells you where you are at the moment. So if I press enter now, it tells me that I'm in home, and then the UQM hang is my username there. So this is my home directory, and if you log in, that's where you usually end up. But now we would like to orientate ourselves a little bit and see what else is usually around on a high-performance computer cluster. So if you look at the home and then my username, you see there's two slashes there, one in front of the home and one in front of my username. And the first slash is basically, that's what we call the root directory, and everything branches off that one. And so we're just going to have a quick look of what is in there, and I use the ls command, which is the listing command, and I just want to list what is in that first slash directory. So if we look at this, we find that there's quite a bit in there, and there's all sorts of different things. So we find the first one, so we find that the home directory is there, what we've already seen before. But if we go in order now, we do find there's a bin directory, for example, and that's usually where a lot of the binaries are. So a lot of the system executables will be found in the bin directory. Another directory that is there is things like the lib directory or the lib64 directory, and this is where a lot of the system libraries are located. So these would be in those directories. Another important one is called the opt directory, and that is quite often optional software installed that are part of the system usually. So these are typical system directories that belong to any Unix system, and you usually find these in most Linux systems. There's one more. So the other important ones particular to this cluster, so we already talked about the home directory, but on most high-performance computer clusters, the home directory is relatively small, so you can't really store a lot of data in there, or you can't really use it for your calculations if you're processing or outputting a lot of data to your calculations. And so the majority of clusters and high-performance computers provide a different directory for that to do this. And the majority nowadays all call it the same thing, and they call it Scratch. And so this cluster here also has a Scratch directory, and I'm just going to show you. And so if I have a look what's in my Scratch directory, let's have a look what's in Scratch, and we find there are things like legacy, project mount, and user. And for this particular cluster, the Scratch user is the one where the users can have their data. So most users will have a directory in there where they can put their input data and keep their output data of their calculations. And as I said, the majority of HPC clusters nowadays actually do call it Scratch. So you will have a home directory and you will have a Scratch directory, which usually means the Scratch is for your calculations. It's meant for temporary data, while the home directory is much, much smaller, where you can keep input files and other small scripts and things. The last things I want to point out on this one is, for example, which most clusters have as well, is SW, and there's an SW6 here, and also an SW7. And SW is short for software here. And so this is where most of the user or hand installed extra software is. You can find that there. On other HPC clusters, this could be called apps or applications or software all the way written out. But most HPC clusters will have a directory that contains the software that administrators have installed by hand, basically, or some users have installed by hand, and that is available to all users on the cluster. So these are the most important file systems that you find on a high-performance computer cluster. The most of them that you usually will have to do with is your home directory, then a scratch directory, and then usually the one that is a software directory. So these are the important ones.